Hey, what's going on, guys? So a lot of you may have already seen my short video talking briefly about my experience at Bandai Card Games Fest this past weekend in Las Vegas, but I wanted to make a longer video just to kind of talk about my experience in a bit more detail, my experience there at the event, and then just kind of my impressions of the Gundam Assemble game kind of in more detail in this video, so that's what we'll do. First of all, just a huge thank you to Bandai for inviting me out, for bringing me out there for that. I think there was about 23, I think they told me about 23 different influencers that they brought out for this event, most of which I think were more like card game related and just kind of more like anime content in general kind of related influencers. I didn't get a chance to meet everybody. As for anybody else like myself coming more from just like kind of the strictly modeling side of the hobby, there was another guy that I met and hung out with there, Eric Swinson, really cool. Check out his stuff online. He does more like Warhammer kind of stuff, but you can kind of see how there's that connection there as well. So yeah, check him out. But anyway, so I flew into Las Vegas on Friday, and normally I don't like to be in a window seat on airplanes. I like to be in the aisle so that if I want to get up, I can get up. I don't have to climb over people or like ask them to move. But this time I was in a window seat and it was fine. You know, the flight wasn't all that long, but I was really glad to be in a window seat because I haven't been like out west in the US, in that part of the US for a long time. So once we started to get into like the Las Vegas area and kind of came down like below the cloud level to see like all the wide open like desert and mountainous spaces, it was really cool. I really enjoyed the view coming into town there, so that was great to see. Then yeah, I arrived there Friday evening and just kind of hung out there with some of the staff. And then Saturday was the event. So Saturday morning, they took us in just a little bit before the event opened to the public. So we got to see like this massive space. It was a huge space, much bigger than I anticipated. I'd seen a little map of what it looked like beforehand and did not imagine the space being quite that large. So it was massive. And kind of the first thing when you see, right when you first came in, I think maybe you could come in from the opposite end, but from the main entrance anyway, the first thing that you would get to there is the Gundam Assemble area that they had. And then of course, opposite that, they had like gashapon machines where there was just lots of gashapon, actually a lot of Gundam gashapon, which was pretty cool. I didn't get any while I was there, probably should have, but I don't normally collect a lot of gashapon stuff. But there was some pretty cool gashapon stuff there. And then of course they had the shop, like the shopping area, which was just the retail area for buying, again, mostly card stuff. Interestingly, they weren't selling any Gunpla at all there, just like regular Gunpla. You would have thought that maybe there would have been some like Gundam base exclusive kits or even P Bandai stuff maybe there just to sell, because obviously like the Gundam Assemble stuff is Gunpla. So I could see them selling some Gunpla there, but yeah, it was kind of strange that there wasn't. Anyway, the rest of the space then was pretty much all like card game tournament space. They had a couple of different stage areas set up and like a huge area for like Digimon stuff as well. And that was another big thing there. Digimon, One Piece, Dragon Ball, Gundam were kind of the main properties. I think there was maybe one or two more too, but at the Gundam area, they had a big, huge Gundam statue, which was cool, of the ARC-782. I'm not sure what the scale would be for that. Maybe like 1/4 scale, 1/4 or 1/6 scale, maybe something like that. It was about like 15-20 feet tall, something like that. It was pretty big. It was huge. So and then they also had, you know, displays showing some of the Gundam TCG, the Gundam card game, as well as Gundam Assemble stuff. Unfortunately, it didn't seem like there was anything new in terms of like the Gundam Assemble model kits. I would have loved to see some new model kits from the Gundam Assemble series, but considering that the series still hasn't kind of like officially even really launched, I mean, like obviously some of the kits have been available. If you didn't see, I did do a video on one set that I got earlier, like last summer. So like the first couple of sets have already been out for quite a while now. But considering that the game hasn't really kind of launched in full, I guess that's kind of why we're still just kind of, we have just the first few sets. But there is more planned. I guess we did see some more kind of hints as to some new ones that I don't think that we had seen before in the box display. There was one box they had display on there, and then display like a bigger box for a more full set that had like a white base in it and a Zeong in it. I don't think we had seen a Zeong before. You could kind of just barely see it there on like the side of the box. So that's also probably just something that's tentative too. I mean, they did tell us that not everything that we saw there was finalized. A lot of the stuff is still yet to be, you know, finalized, and so that's just something to keep in mind. Also, I should make sure to mention to you guys that coming up on March 4th is when there's going to be a big announcement for more details about Gundam Assemble. So at that point, maybe we'll see some new Gundam Assemble kits announced. But at the very least, hopefully, like everything regarding like the game and gameplay should be finalized. We should know more like in terms of like release dates of like when the game sets are going to actually be able to be available anyway, which I would assume would be later on this year. But so yeah, the Gundam Assemble area was basically comprised of like 3 areas within that area. And so like the front section here was like the main display, and then they had a table set up there, and that was for doing like one-on-one game demos with the influencers that were there, like me and the other influencers that were there. Each had like a time slot throughout the day when we could go there and get just an actual like one-on-one demonstration with a Bandai rep who showed us how to play the game and kind of explained everything in detail for us. So that was like the front area there. The next area was, well, there's a registration part too. If, like all the people that had to line up had to register to go in for the event, and they had 1 hour time slots for them as well. And so there was a gameplay area for them, which I think probably sat around 20 people, 20 to 30 people, I think probably sat in that area. Where they had a bunch of game boards set up, and then it would be like guided by a host. A host would kind of guide them through a number of turns of gameplay for them to kind of get the hang of it. And then I think they did have a little bit of time to then just kind of free play a little bit, and then they had staff that were going around and helping to explain the rules and all that. So, and this is, I guess, the first time that the public has been able to try out the gameplay at all at this event. So it was everybody's first time trying it. And I'll talk a little bit more about the gameplay here in just a minute. But and then the third and final area was the painting area. So once you got to that next part of the demonstration, they would give you one of the kits, and it was just all Zakus. So it was either one of the Zaku 2s, the Heat Hawk Zaku 2, the Bazooka Zaku 2, or Char's Zaku 2. They were just giving those to people at random, and then they had some of the Mr. Hobby Aqueous, just like water-based acrylic, Mr. Hobby, Mr. Color paints there. And just like a few simple paintbrushes and water and stuff, so people could try painting them. And obviously, with the only tools available to people there just being nippers, I mean, it was, it's kind of rough. You're just kind of cutting out the parts, putting it together, and then just painting it without like, proper tools and like a proper setup. But so it's like kind of rough, but at least it gives you the opportunity to try it out. And I think for a lot of people, probably most people don't have experience painting, or very little experience painting. So I think just the opportunity to try it in that setting, I think is probably good for people to just kind of just try it and realize, okay, this is maybe not as scary or as intimidating as I thought, and then maybe they'll go home and they'll want to try it some more, is the idea, is the hope. So it was really, really cool. And so as far as the gameplay goes, I was just expecting to be very confused by it, just because it seems really complicated and there's a lot of stuff going on, and I just don't have any experience in like tabletop wargaming, anything like that. I never played Warhammer. I've never played any kind of tabletop games, anything quite like that. But after having my one-on-one demonstration there and having it just, explained to me in just a very, straightforward, like personal way there, I was able to ask questions, and I did ask a lot of questions. Then it did actually, after a couple turns going through the gameplay, it started to make sense, and I actually found it to be simpler than I expected. Still like pretty complex, at least like for me, coming from like zero experience in that type of game before. But I think by the end of the first game, had we gone through a full game, we didn't have enough time or a chance to go through a full game. The gameplay is also not very long from start to finish, because it's turn-based, but there's a series of 2 phases of basically 10 turns each, and then kind of depending on what you do during your turn, you might use 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 kind of turns within that turn. I guess I'm probably not using the right terminology, but anyway, it seems like probably the average time it's going to take for to play a complete round of the game is maybe about 30 minutes or so. So relatively quick, I think. But anyway, I got the sense from my demonstration that probably playing through the game one time is enough to get a grasp on it, and then after that you can pretty much play without having any help. I think it's pretty straightforward. So one of the things that I actually found most interesting is that it's using its own set of cards, not using the Gundam trading card game cards. I guess that may be something that may be utilized in the future, but it's using its own cards, and so I guess its cards are going to come with the sets when you buy the sets. And this was also something that's not finalized, so this is subject to change, I suppose. But when you buy like the sets, that will include like the kits, and then it will also include the cards that go along with those. And so you're using a set of just like kind of regular style playing cards that are for like specific actions and upgrades and things like that. And then you have like a stat card basically for your units. So your actual kits have this card, which is like a larger card, like a kind of 3x5 card size, and it has all the stats and everything regarding your actual unit there. So that's kind of what you refer to the most when it comes to just like the actual gameplay. It's basically going through a scenario. You know, like I said, you go back and forth through your turns. The gameplay is made up of 2 phases, and then by the end of the 2 phases, whoever has the most points is the winner. And so you get points in a number of different ways. Obviously, like destroying an enemy mobile suit, but there's also like items on the board that you have to capture. Garrisons you have to capture was another thing. And so like as you move around the board, you know, to do different actions and gather different things, you get different points. And there in the video, you can also see that there's like elevated terrain too, so that comes into play as well. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, but it really wasn't all that complicated, and actually does seem quite fun. So I'm actually really looking forward to playing more in the future. This is something that I'm more excited about now after having a chance to play it than I would have been before, because like I said before, I'm just like, that kind of tabletop game, it just wasn't anything that I've ever really played a whole lot. I didn't really have a whole lot of interest in. This is something now that I'm definitely genuinely more interested in playing, especially like if we were able to get, you know, a few people that have the sets, and if we have like sets to use at USA Gundam Store when we have our build days, I think it's going to be something that will be really fun to play with people when we have our build day here. So hopefully later on, once this is released, we can like have some sets here to play, and like if people want to bring their own or whatever, it'd be something that we can play here at USA Gundam Store build days, if you guys ever attend those. So anyway, all in all, it was a very fun day at the event. I kind of didn't really know what to expect going into it, because there wasn't a whole lot of advanced information about like what we were going to really be doing there. So we kind of just showed up, and then they let us know, okay, like here's what we're going to do throughout the day. We just kind of went with it, and yeah, had a lot of fun. Basically, like I said, for me, it was mostly just kind of checking out the Gundam Assemble stuff, learning about the gameplay, learning about the game, learning about just kind of a little bit more. I mean, like painting was not something that's new to me, but I did get a chance to sit down and paint a kit. I painted the Zaku here. I'll show it to you. There was a very limited number of colors available there, so I just mixed some of the colors because, of course, I had to make mine custom color scheme. So I mixed some colors there. You can see how that looks, and then I also just did a little like splatter kind of thing there on the base just to make it a little bit more visually interesting. So I'm actually pretty happy with how that came out, but I was sitting there for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours almost working on that. But it was a lot of fun, and I mean, obviously, like for me, that was something that is going to be the most enjoyable for me, so I enjoyed that. After the event finished, I did walk to the Las Vegas Strip because it's my first time ever being in Vegas, so I had to go kind of check it out. I didn't actually do any gambling while I was there, which, I mean, like, I guess, oops, but I probably should have. But I at least like walked the Strip, you know, and I just kind of checked out the sites there. It was very cool, very impressive, and I'm definitely looking forward to going back again at some point in the future. Seemed like a pretty fun place. I just basically went for a long walk that night. Got back to the hotel, crashed Sunday. I came back here, and then, yeah, it was a good time. So again, you know, thanks to Bandai for the opportunity. I really hope success for the game. You know, when it was first announced, I had reservations. You know, I didn't know if this is something that was really going to have legs to it, if it was something that was gonna, you know, be very successful. You know, I had hopes because I know that like the idea of having, you know, mini Gunpla kits is something that, at least again, coming like from the Gunpla, like Gundam model building side of the hobby, I think there's a lot of interest in that as far as like the actual game and gameplay and everything. Again, it seems like it's still kind of having all the kinks worked out of it, and that it's still like a lot of stuff is still not finalized, and it's just kind of still in like the final stages of planning, I guess, hopefully. But once it's actually released, you know, I hope that a lot of you guys will try it out because it was actually really fun, and maybe at some point when it is fully released, I'll try to maybe do something more of like a demonstration here and like a demonstration kind of video or something here on the channel. I think it would be pretty cool to do, and I hope that you guys might appreciate something like that. But let me know in the comments if you guys have any other questions about it, like there's something else you're wondering about the gameplay. Like obviously I can't answer everything in detail, not because of like an NDA or something like that, but mostly just because even some of the questions that I had, they told me like, well, that's not finalized, so you know, we can't really say for sure. But if it's questions that I can answer, I obviously will answer for you. So you can let me know down in the comment section below whatever else you might want to know about the game. I guess kind of whatever is currently publicly available to be known, I probably know, I guess, as far as how the gameplay works. But yeah, like I said, coming up right around the corner, March 4th is when we're going to get some more news on that, so I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Just wanted to talk a little bit more about the experience. and I'm looking forward to having more experiences like that in the future, and I hope that you guys will look forward to my coverage of them. So if you did, make sure to leave a like, of course, subscribe, and check out my video taking a look at the Zeon's Rush starter set. If you guys missed that video, you can go back and check that out. But that's it for this video. See y'all later. Bye, guys.